Sure I'm online. I think everything's on. I should be posting everything. Welcome everybody. Starting a little early because I'm not going to go long tonight, but I wanted to get on. I'm not in the office again, not in the studio, but I wanted to speak to you because as I'm going through by the way, you know the deal. This is Nightcap. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm doing this from my buddy's house again, mobile. But I'm going through my Twitter feed and I'm going through my news. I'm trying to catch up because I've been a little behind. And I see articles that are being written about stuff that I've been talking about for a while. And it's not, it's kind of some validation, I guess, because the article that I posted on Facebook in Salon, this woman goes into detail about like Rick Scott's plan, which I've been talking about, which is out there. He's making it fully transparent in February of where he wants this country to be. He's painted the end vision. And I talk about, what's the vision? What's the end game? Well, this document that he has, what's scary about it is he's like, all right, here's our end game. And he paints it. And so I wrote an article about it. And again, I'm not some writer. So I put my thoughts down on paper, let's just say. And it's interesting to see those things being talked about now as a central theme to where a lot of Republicans stand on the issues, especially when you see the outcomes on these school boards, especially when you see the outcomes of the result of electing these folks. Because in Florida, things are actually coming to fruition where they're removing textbooks, and as hyperbolic as that sounds, it's what's happening. And Rick Scott, or the governor, just said, "Fuck it, I don't care how you feel." But this is so there's no longer this approach to reality. It's kind of appeasing, and the vision where they want this country to go is painted in this document. And so I find it interesting when when I'm talking about something for months, and finally the mainstream media picks it up and says, "Hey, yeah, this is crazy, but actually this is a thread." There's a lot of folks that believe in this and feel this is where the party's going internally. So the MTGs of the party, as they like to call it, the MTG element, which I hate because she's taken the acronyms from Magic the Gathering, which is absolutely one of the best card games ever invented, in my opinion. But this MTG element of the party is kind of, it has that's kind of seems to be radical, but there's that's the nucleus of a lot of these thoughts that are going on. And so the thing that I'm frustrated with right now that's pissing me off is watching, this narrative that I've been talking about, this fear-based, hey, there's no end game. They didn't have a platform. I've been talking about that for a while, how they just don't have a platform. So here comes a document that articulates all of their ideas. And, it's not getting a lot of press. It should, there are a couple articles written about it, but it should be kind of like this should be like, hey, is this really what we want in our end game? If this is how the Republican Party believes this country should be in their end game, a theocracy essentially, where there's essentially central ruling, and you get rid of you everything's local except for certain things. It's just a weird dystopian viewpoint where almost handmaidian, the Handmaid's Tale ish kind of stuff. So when people just kind of gloss over it, and then he gets on Fox News and kind of is rebuffed by a Fox News analyst, it says, hey, that's not what's in the plan. That's not what you're saying. What you're saying isn't true. These aren't Democratic talking points. This is the facts. And he couldn't defend it. And we're talking about Rick Scott's plan for America. It's an 11-point plan. I sent out an article about it. I've been talking about it. I did a whole show about it. And this is back in February when I started talking about this. So again, midterms, this is the strategy that I laid out. There's going to be fear mongering. There's also going to be the trans person that's going to be the focal point for for one side or the other, and probably the wrong side, because there is a right side to that, is going to use that to create fear and also move the needle. And so it's going to get nutsy for a little bit. And of course, a lot of Democrats are apathetic right now. I'm included. We're We're exhausted from the last term. We're kind of nice to be able to focus on your lives and do things without yelling and screaming at the clouds. But there's still a lot to be yelling and screaming about, by the way. So don't get it twisted. But anyway, I just it's been, as you know, I've been trying to balance work with doing this and keeping on top of things. And I'm just like every other person. It's a lot, especially when I'm in a new job and I'm trying to learn the field. And I love my job. I'm excited about it. I love the challenge. It's great. But I will say that, I kind of slip in and out of how deep I go into politics, as I said. And so I've kind of been glossing over things. And, the emotion of the moment is kind of all my emotions focused on working, but I think that's a good view. I mean, I don't think we should be have to be consumed with politics to have an opinion, right? We should be able to kind of live our lives and then kind of get engaged, but also, choose to have a path however we want to do that. And so I'm going to argue that I'm very happy doing what I'm doing, but this is still something that I want to develop. And I think what I'm going to try to do is just be more authentic. I'm okay with not being in the studio in some cases, but we're working on some things behind the scenes that hopefully will tell a story. And there's some planning going on mostly right now, but um, I don't know. I just wanted to say that because this, how I feel about the fact that Donald Trump's not in office anymore is, how I would like to look at politics. Like, all right, at least we have somebody, hey, you might not agree with them, but they're not going to be crazy. They're not going to do crazy shit. And so that's like a huge win. There's major problems with Joe Biden. I've talked about this. I think he's going to die in office. I don't want to curse him. That's horrible to say, but like he's just seems, grandpa oldish, but he's still sharp and just there's a stutter and all that stuff that kind of goes in hand that for me it's he's not appealing as far as aesthetically, but what I like about Joe Biden is who he is. I don't have to worry that he's fucking nuts. And so until the Republican Party kind of comes, this plan that Rick Scott has laid out essentially says, hey, this is their end game. And I always talk about the end game. And so this end game that they're laying out, that Trump was a piece of that. And he's kind of ignited their base and helped to move them forward toward this vision. To me, seems like myopic and kind of, you know, just completely selfish and not kind of open-minded in how other people might decide to choose to live their lives. Let's just say that. And it's not anti-religious, it's just your religion might not be the only thing. I'm trying to become more spiritually aware as I get older, not rely on logic and emotion. So, I'm open-minded to all of that, but I think when you have somebody that's pushing one identity, then I think that's problematic. So don't worry, I'm not saying I'm like changing my whole whatever. But anyway, I just want to say thanks. I also want to, there's a couple people that have just put some content out into my inbox that was awesome. I reposted it. In particular, they were sending me things about the judges, and I've talked about this before. By the way, months ago, when Trump was in office, I said one thing that people should be proud of if you voted for Trump is that he's pushing judges. Now, he's pushing Republican judges, but those judges didn't necessarily qualify. In fact, Trump in his short term had more per capita unqualified according to the ABA, which is the American Bar Association. Like, so they're the ones that are, determining essentially the qualifications of people at all kinds of for all, an organization, if they're going to put them on the board and they're ABA, unqualified, that's kind of a sting on their record. So that kind of thing was happening during the Trump years. He was packing the judges, packing the judges, packing the judges, and Republicans were like, "Woo, yay! Who cares if he's crazy? He just." Well, it turns out he's put unqualified people there, and now you have situations with this, judge that was unqualified. Just says, you know what, I don't like mask mandates. I'm going to ignore any kind of health, you know, kind of advice, which by the way, I'm not, you don't see me walking around with masks often unless somebody asks me to, or I'm in a place that requires it for whatever reason, but I'm okay with whatever. I've been one of the few people that haven't contracted. I don't want to jinx myself for Pete's sakes. God, you can't do that on film. So like I'm not, I'm okay with people advocating for the wearing of masks. I was on that side during for a long period of time. Now I'm just following the CDC. So whatever. That's the thing. But the point is this judge kind of made this ruling. And this is a side effect from those Trump years. It's just another reference. I'm making a callback to the fact that this is an effect, something in effect that I've been talking about for a while. And now we have the repercussions of it where they're making decisions not based on law or interpretation of the law or what's legal, just kind of political. It's political activism. It's the things that Republicans cry about all the time. But here you have that in their favor, and it's not political activism. It's in their mind interpreting the law. So both sides do that to some extent. But one thing I will say that facts are that Donald Trump successfully pushed a lot of judges through the Senate or got them or through the approval process and confirmation process. And so whatever that may be, appointed, whatever it was, whether he appoint them, where he put them through confirmation, like he just did a good job with all that stuff. So now when you have somebody that just says, all right, I'm doing things for political favors, I'm just pushing that shit. Now you're gonna have people that are unqualified. And so I talked a little bit about that, but that was content that was brought to me from somebody that inboxed me and somebody who's very knowledgeable in that area of industry or career. This person's super knowledgeable in law. So anyway, so I want to say thank you to those people because again, I've not been posting as much because I'm kind of one of those folks that just kind of all consume, and some consume with making sure I'm performing on a and by the way, I'm doing a good job of balancing. I don't whether my job likes it or not, I'm not taking my work home with me. I like leaving at the office. So that's a good thing because it allows me to be more creative and not just be in engineering mode. Anyway, I'm ranting. All I'm trying to say is thank you for the content. I love it. You're helping me out. It does make a difference. And I also want to say that I have been consistently talking about things that are happening. Not that I'm prophetic, it's just I'm looking at these patterns and I'm seeing these patterns of how things go and how things move and how people talk about things. And so this narrative where Rick Scott's plan that I was talking about for a while back is now front and center, and it's becoming kind of a major threat of how a lot of senators believe. It's something to be analyzed, it's something to be thought about. And so it's not that there's no difference between the way I look at politics and the way other people look at politics, other than I read a little bit more about it and I can see that, hey, this doesn't make sense to have this vision for America. It doesn't line up with what I thought this country was founded on. And so that's a serious, you got the right crime, communism. You want to fucking do public health care, it's socialism. If you want to do something, infrastructure, it's socialism. It's got to be private sector. But as soon as you start analyzing their vision for America, you start to kind of wonder, like, what is this? It's kind of, it's like an autocracy, oligarchy slash, nobody, everyone, there's just the wage, like there's no concern for anything kind of thing. And it's exclusive to this viewpoint on spirituality, ignoring this Constitution, these Bill of Rights that we have. And so that gap to me is larger than the gap between me saying, "Hey, I love this country. I think everyone should have healthcare." Oh, you're so far left. It's like you're you literally painted your end game. My end game is yeah, everyone has healthcare. Okay, so that's what I mean. So these kind of things are frustrating when you start to think about it. Like, why do we keep falling for these things? And so I think I'm validating myself today. I'm patting myself on the back for seeing these patterns and hopefully trying to articulate them, because it's too late sometimes when the mainstream media starts reporting it. It's too late. People already kind of have formed these opinions on what's going on, and the narrative's already changed, or it's not even important because it's us versus them. And now nobody's really voting based on things that are supposed to happen. So it's just kind of fucked up. Anyway, so that's what I wanted to talk about tonight. Again, keep reading the blogs. I don't even have tracking on it right now, so I don't even know how well it's doing. There's so many technical pieces that I need to fill in that I'm not doing. Basic stuff too, which if you're watching, it's like, what the hell? But so I'm using a platform that does a lot of that stuff. But anyway, so I'm enjoying where I'm at right now. Smash the Party is definitely still priority, but I've been a little bit lax on putting out content because I'm trying to balance, consuming things for my job and everything else. But it doesn't take long to understand what's going on if you know where to look, and you can start to see these things. And that's why, hopefully, if you learn anything, it's that I'm talking about things that are happening over and over and over. And that's why the study of history is important. They're patterns. Even my job is patterns, and how do you put patterns together to make software and all this stuff. So if you start to see these patterns, you can start to make critical analysis and go, okay, wait, am I part of the pattern here, or am I actually outside the scope and pulling us in the right direction? When I think about this shit, I know that sounds complicated, but anyway, that's all I'm saying. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Thanks for checking in. I'll be back tomorrow at 10:30. My mouth's dry. I love seltzer. I'll try to be in the studio. I've got a little busy day. I've got to crank out some code. So I'm a night owl when it comes to that stuff. So we'll see how it goes. But either way, things are coming down the pike. Still got plans, big plans. This is the year of experimentation. As you know, I've been talking about that. I decided to pull my advertising out of Facebook, all that stuff. So all this is all acceptable within the large scheme of getting us to where we need to go. So thanks for sticking with me. I'm going to end on that. I will see you guys tomorrow at 10:30. Peace. Oh, leave a comment and all that stuff. Follow, yada yada.